Very pleasant. Good morning, everybody. Peel yourself off the Mad Monday, and you're peeling yourself off like a cold slab, unless you're in California, which the Super Bowl will be contested there. Super Bowl 60 coming up this week. We made it through the week off before the Super Bowl without incurring too much pain and diving too deeply into Super Bowl cliches, but it's open season now, Lubie. It's open season. In the past, Lubie and I, how many did we do? About 10 or 11 in a row? Maybe more?
11.
Might have been more. I'm not sure how many years we did that. We celebrated like our 10th anniversary. Had like every celebrity and dignitary from the last 40 years of South Florida sports history on the show, and I think we got fired like the next day.
No, it was like
So it might have been 10. Might
it
have
was
been
like years later.
your preparations, and it was interesting too, because I believe the first one we did was in Indianapolis.
It was Indy
was
and
it
Dallas.
It was either
One
Dallas
was
or Indianapolis.
Dallas or Indy was one, and Dallas or Indy was two. I don't remember the order, but yes.
Okay, I don't exactly remember that either. I suppose we could look it up, but that takes all the fun out of it because I find this, Luby, and you're not at this stage of dementia yet, and or bordering on senility, if not already there, which I am. I couldn't remember the name. This is bad, Libby. I could not remember, and I'm sitting with a guy that should know this also. We're going, of all things, to an ATM machine so he can get the money together that he needs to make half the bet on the losing pick five that we played this Saturday. And neither of us, we both blanked on the name of the hotel in the movie Casino that De Niro was working. Do you remember the name of the hotel in the movie Casino? How could you not? But you're not really a degenerate, so
I like the movie, but I don't know it like that. Yeah.
excuse. And we were just about to make a call to Jersey Kyle, who obviously has every line of that movie memorized, and often espouses philosophies based on things that came out of the movie Casino. And just as you're dialing the last number, it hits you. You notice that every
Yes.
time you're just about to Google something, it goes, "Oh yeah, of course, that's
Yeah,
Bruno
I did it
Mars that
again.
I'm watching on TV."
Yes.
And a lot of different stuff going on. What a wild weekend! I know people are having trouble navigating the cold weather here in South Florida. People around the rest of the country are quick to point out it's much colder where they are, which is fine, but we're not used to this, which makes it a little bit exceptional. I personally never minded if it's sunny out and even in the 40s here in South Florida, and there isn't a big wind factor. I find it extremely pleasant, very refreshing. If it's windy and you're getting that wind biting in your face, there's a pretty good chance you're not going outside because it's raining iguanas out there, which is really, really weird. I walk under a lot of trees in my walk of life endeavors, and I'm waiting to get hit in the face with an iguana. At least it'll be. I don't know. Do they pick up body weight? They're pretty heavy to begin with. They pick up body weight if they're frozen stiff. What do you think, Louis?
I don't
That should
think
be
they're
the first.
lighter.
Yeah,
I
go
don't
ahead.
think they're lighter. I don't know. I've never been smacked in the face with one, so I hope I never have to find out.
I'll never forget when I tried to chase that one out of my Christmas tree a few years ago. This had to be 6 years ago, maybe. I had the door open for a second. I was on what I thought was a very important phone call with, of all people, Wayne Root. Remember Wayne Root? Wayne Root was going to do supposedly some big business with me, and I knew he had plenty of capital because he had made a giant score betting the Trumpster to win the 2016 election. And I remember that was like a 45 to 1 long shot. It was like betting Justin Rose to win another major, which, by the way, he cruised at Torrey Pines yesterday. Isn't Torrey Pines in San Diego, Alubi? I don't remember seeing landscaping like that in San Diego. Torrey Pines. It looked like they were playing in Hawaii. What a spectacular course. But it was an easy wire-to-wire cruise job for Justin Rose. So, of course, I'm thinking the professor probably put the mandatory $25 on Rose at whatever odds he was to win the tournament, which had to be pretty fat. And he whiffed on that. He did not play Justin Rose in one of his winning events. And of course, it couldn't have come under more easy circumstances. He shoots like a 58 the first day, and then boom, wins the thing by 7 shots going away. So there you go. It's the bets you don't make that really infuriate you over a long course of gambling degeneracy and what usually amounts to a windfall of bad luck that afflicts you. There are many ways to lose. I was alive in this pick five for a $25 payoff after putting $126 into it, which shows you that it's not always advantageous to play these kind of wagers if all the chalk ends up prevailing, which is especially ugly. All right, Super Bowl. I remember the first time you went, it was confusing as hell. You sure it was Dallas? Dallas, I remember, I think, having a pretty good time there in terms of
It
all
was Dallas or Indianapolis. I don't. Again, I remember those were our first two ones. I'm thinking it was Dallas because Indianapolis we went with Vissermom, and I don't think we went to the first one with Vissermom. I think we went to one, then we weren't sure we were going to go to the next one, and then Vissermom had to go, and the Duke was taking his plane, so she's like, "Well, we have two seats if you guys want to go. At least the flight will be covered." And then you scramble, I guess, to get hotels or whatever. So that's what I'm thinking. Dallas may have been the first one because
we actually flew private jet. That's right, to the
we
Super Bowl.
scrambled to get to the Indianapolis one.
We were living the dream back then,
Yeah,
vicariously through the Visser Mama
it
and
was
the
very
Joker.
high. Yes, we lived very high for a while there.
How great was that? I mean, that was probably the only way to appreciate Indianapolis. I remember there was a jet kind of taxiing its way to. They don't go to a gate there; you just kind of land and
Yep.
walk into whatever some fancy schmancy thing, waiting facility there. Where I wouldn't want to call it a facility; sounds like Alligator Alcatraz, but
Exactly.
whatever it would be. That normally, in the airport, it's mass confusion once you get off the plane. Hey, which way do we go? Where's the baggage claim? And instead, in this case, they're handing you like a little snifter of champagne there, and asking you, oh, "Is your car here? Because if it's not, we have somebody that can drive you wherever you want to go." They treat you pretty well. But Fran Tarkenton was getting off a private jet. You remember that? Fran Tarkenton. So, oh yeah, that was good. So we had a very lofty situation there as we flew into Indianapolis. I remember interviewing Sal Palantonio out of
Yes.
what we thought was desperation. We got there on a Tuesday, and
Yes.
Sal Palantonio, he loved it that we remembered Ali Sherman, what was part of that
The original Edge NFL matchup or Gillette, the first one.
Gillette NFL matchup. Yeah.
Yes.
And Palantonio took over, and once he sort of seemed like a little like, I really don't want to do this, but I don't want to say no. One of those kind of deals where it's another media member, and he's thinking, really, do I want to answer 20 questions about the Super Bowl here and help these guys kill an hour of time on their morning drive show, which is going to air in 3 hours or whatever it was. But he really warmed to the task after that, and turned out to be a lot of fun talking football with. I don't know what stands out to you of all of that stuff.
Oh, Jesus.
I'll
I
never
mean,
forget the Lawrence Taylor visit in Miami when Robin West brought LT over to us first, while everybody's grabbing and clawing at this guy. LT, yeah, you remember me? I was
he
with you.
never did them. That was like the big thing is he would never do Radio Rows. He wasn't big on interviews. He wasn't big on like celebrating his legacy / the best 50 play. That was never LT's thing. But because it was in Miami and he lived down here, Westy was able to like twist his arm to get him to finally go to one. So everyone was like caught off guard because most people didn't even know he was coming. Like
And most people didn't know who we were either at 940 Wins.
100%. No, people were like, hey, LT's there. And who the hell is he on with?
And then what? We had like 3 Hall of Famers also join him on that particular session, and it turned out to be great. And it is good to get the guy first before everybody else gets to him. Sometimes, I mean, some guys warm to the task later on after they do a couple of interviews. But in this case, I don't know that anybody could have had a better time with a guest than we did with LT. I remember the bus being there and a couple of other
Eddie George and
Eddie
Ronnie
George.
Brown. It was Ronnie Brown, Eddie George, and the bus were randomly together. And then there was like Melvin Gordon with like all these running backs would walk by and wave each other over. It was like really weird. And the Miami one was interesting because that was when we had the guy who's now everywhere, who was in the Tom Cruise, the plane one, the homoerotic one that Ken talks about. Before it came out, we had 2 of the top 3. Both have become really big. The one was in the Bob Dylan movie, the co-star of the Bob Dylan movie.
Oh yeah,
Barbary, I think her name is, and Vanessa Barbary, something like that. And then the guy he's in the Chad Powers TV show, who's like one of the biggest guys in Hollywood. We had both of them sit down with us.
that was cool.
Now they're superstars. So Miami was very, and JT, the JT was great
Oh,
because
JT was great. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, we're gonna lose JT because everyone down here is gonna be grabbing for JT. Let me go get him. You're like, yeah, like 20 minutes before. So I go to get him. He's like, Lubie, I'm good. I'm like, I never met JT, and I'm like, why is I don't think he's talking to me. I'm like, I guess there's another Lubie or something. Like, I'll be there. I'm like, are you talking to me? He's like, yes, Lubie, I'll be there. I'm like, okay. He's like, and so I wait for him. I didn't trust it. And then we're walking. He's like, I love you guys. I'm like, oh, really? But I didn't believe him until we get to the end, and you were gonna do the time, and he like
Yeah.
cut you off, and I was
Right.
like, oh shit, I guess
You
he
knew the
actually
show. Yeah. You knew the show.
listens to our show.
We were bigger than we thought.
That was awesome,
We
right?
tended to think, well, the station tried to convince us that nobody was listening to this thing. So it was always surprising to see how well people that were firmly entrenched in the sporting community, the very people that we were covering, who normally would claim that they never listened to sports talk radio, were big fans of everything that we did, knew the routines, and realized that we were having fun, even in our criticisms of various things that happened. We were trying to approach it from a lighter side, and I think that was well appreciated by the people that were involved with all of these teams. Jeff Goldblum and one of the Helmsworths.
William Hemsworth. Yep, that was
Yeah,
before the Independence Day. That was
that
the
was
other
in
one.
San
That was great.
Francisco.
That was great. San Francisco. Yep. One and
I
also
remember Bob Baffert being really weird when we were out there in San Francisco.
Baffert, I guess, came on, but I don't remember him doing much. I don't remember that
I
being.
remember talking to him, thinking this guy's a shot fighter
It wasn't any special. The
because he
Rick
was
Barry
always
one.
a very engaging guy. I mean, that's how he sort of rose to even more popularity than he would have by achievement. Because he was such a personality when he put the trophy over his head after winning, what was that, the Derby?
Yeah.
Put the ball over his head, and you're thinking, wow, here's a guy with some personality. We can really appreciate that. Anyway, we will do our best to cover the Super Bowl in great detail. We haven't seen much line movement. I didn't realize this. I thought it opened at 4.5. It opened at 3.5.
It did jump up.
It
Okay.
went to 4.5 almost immediately, favor of the Seahawks. The books, I was just reading some analysis on where the books stand, where the betting action is going. And it appears that Patriot fans are nailing the Patriots on the money line,
Okay.
although the Seahawks are still getting plenty of action, and people are willing to lay the 4.5. So, what do you think the books, DraftKings, FanDuel, any of the books in Las Vegas are rooting for? Where billions of dollars are going to be sent in on what is essentially a one-day crash market stock exchange, and that is Seattle to win by less than 4.5.
Yeah.
Out like champs, if that turns out to be the case. All of that money line action,
You lose the money line stuff. Yeah.
right out the window, zippity doo dah. And of course, they would then bury all the people that thought that Seattle was the better team and were willing to lay 4.5 points. So yeah, somehow they never lose. A lot of prop bets. I'm not a big fan of the weirdo prop bets. We did have that one incident. Well, we mentioned it many times. May it rest in peace, John Footy Cross. I never answer my phone, especially when I'm in a casino, unless maybe you were waiting for somebody to call because you were going to do something later on that night in whatever casino destination you happen to be in. For me, it was either Atlantic City or Vegas. But I did answer. I don't know why I answered the phone that time because Footy's name didn't come up as part of my caller ID. You know me, very inept at organizing these kind of things, Lubie. So I see a 305 area code, and I'm thinking, wow, somebody's calling me from Miami. I don't know. Maybe my house caught fire. I'm curious to see who this is. And it was just an absolutely, I mean, you could not have been more freaked out than Footy was, scrambling like a maniac to try and get down on what the opening song was going to be of Katy Perry's halftime show, which we'll get to. Was that just politicized even more so by the Grammys last night? Louis, did you happen to catch a little Bad Bunny last night?
No, no. Oh, he did some shows there. I didn't. Yeah,
Oh no, he didn't. He didn't perform because they were implying that if you're doing a Super Bowl halftime show, there's some kind of restriction about performances that you can give. I don't know if that was real or not, if they were just joking. Trevor Noah was once again the host. And it is weird to see the host making blatant political statements in reaction to. I don't think there were any MAGA hats in the gift bags for the celebrities at the Grammy Awards. Did you? You didn't catch any of this, Louie? I happen to. I like some of the performances. I'd have to admit, I know nothing about what's going on with this new genre of music. Are you plugged into this, or is it even like like hitting you by surprise? What's out there right now in terms of musical
Oh
offerings?
no, I like the music, but I mean, like
I'm
we're
not
big.
condemning it. I'm just saying I'm not
You
that.
know, it's not your air. My parents don't listen to this stuff. It's
Yeah,
fine. But we're big Bad Bunny fans here. My wife would like travel somewhere to go see it because he's not doing it in America.
yeah.
So, yes, I'm into the music. I never heard that thing about the Grammys.
I think you need to give like Luca a Bad Bunny
He's been calm
doll.
the entire morning, and now he's exhausted. So he's like, he loves fighting sleep better than any human on the planet. So he's
Yeah.
literally about to pass out. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I've never heard that about the Grammys. I've never really watched award shows, so I don't know. I'm good for Noah because I mean, if Trevor Noah is doing it, he has to be political. That's literally how he got his thing. Was doing the
Yeah.
Daily Show.
It was, you would have to say predominantly one-sided. It wasn't like they were bringing out any kind of balanced presentation in that regard there. Bad Bunny goes right to the, no ice stuff as he, and I'm assuming since he does all of his work in Spanish, and that's been one of the big beefs of the right wing extremists who are opposed to it. I don't know. I mean, maybe a lot of people don't want to see him. I'm curious to see what this guy does because he wins every award. He got Album of the Year, first time ever that a non-English uh, album has. This was an album recorded exclusively in Spanish. The lyrics. First time anything like that has ever happened, where that's one Album of the Year. Now,
Oh, he won the straight
Album
up
of the
album of
Year.
the year. Oh
Yeah, he
wow!
won a lot of stuff last night. I saw him win an earlier award for might have been best song or something, but. Yeah, and he gets right up there and gets right into even with limited English, he gets right into the politics stuff, and then it kind of took off from there. So not a particularly flattering evening for the Trumpster, the Grammy Awards, and then you have to wonder how that press conference is going to go, Luby. Wouldn't this be one that you would want to attend, where
Not so
Bad
bad.
Bunny does the halftime entertainer press conference at the Super Bowl? It's usually like the Wednesday or Thursday before the Super Bowl, and as we talked about, often a stroke job. Lady Gaga kind of killed it when she was there because she was far more down to earth than you can imagine. Somebody that would work up the nerve to wear one of those costumes, especially in the early days. And she was back to it in her performance at the Grammys last night. But you would have to think that that press conference is going to. Are members of the press going to be instructed not to ask him anything about his political views? Because I don't think he's going to hold back this guy.
No, I was gonna say he'll say whatever he wants, and he speaks very good English. So,
Oh, he does. I
yeah,
didn't see
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Puerto Rico, they speak English and Spanish. And he's been here for years. So yes, he will.
He seemed reluctant to. I mean, it didn't sound like he was comfortable, doing these things. I mean, he did give the speech, and I don't hold that against anybody. It's funny because I'm watching Carlos Alcaraz after he won against Djokovic, and this was kind of you talk about pressing and fighting off sleep. So both of the finals, the women's final, which featured Rybakina, who we hit at 6-1 just prior to the semis, put that in. She mowed down Pagula and Sabalenka to win the Australian Open, and her second major. A nice little comeback after a couple of years where she sort of became a little bit of estranged in terms of what you thought she was going to accomplish after her Wimbledon breakthrough a couple of years ago, and what she actually was doing. But she started to round back into form. You could see this happening. And three-set match against Sabalenka. She ends up prevailing with a late break in the third set, and well deserved. I mean, she was banging. They were trading howitzers. Short rallies in that one, surprisingly, because you did have some 20-25 shot rallies taking place between Alcaraz and Djokovic. Djokovic comes out and is smoking in the first set. He wins at 6-2, serving at above 70% first serves, and he manages to break Carlos, I think, twice in that set, and then loses the subsequent three sets, but no blowout by any stretch of the imagination. Very competitive. Joker had an excellent chance to maybe take it to a fifth set, and at that point, it's who knows what's going to happen. So that was spectacular, but both matches started at like 10-4 in the morning.
I was gonna say I wanted to like 3 to 4 in the morning.
Once I woke up, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to turn it off, Lubie? So I spent like 4 to 7 watching tennis, both Saturday and Sunday morning, and I didn't mind one single bit of it. It was all good stuff. But Alcaraz spoke no English when he first popped on the scene. The guy was what, 17 years old? And then he started speaking English in some of these interviews, and people were critical. Oh man, the guy can't even speak English. I'm like,
At least he's
this
trying.
isn't even his language. I mean, would I feel comfortable doing an interview in Spanish or French had I taken it in high school? I did take French in high school. I wouldn't know what the hell I was saying beyond how you doing, like como se va. That's about it, right? I don't know. You might be more
I took
comfortable
years
doing
of
it.
Spanish. I'm born and raised here. I worked at Sawgrass Mall for years. I'm married to a Dominican. Her whole family speaks Spanish. I've been there multiple times. I've traveled to many Spanish speaking countries. I at times can hold a conversation in Spanish but there's no way it doesn't sound like that. Like my Spanish is so broken. like I,
Yeah, I'd be saying all kinds of strange stuff. Verb
I
tenses,
try to
all
get
that.
the message across. Like I've never understood that making fun of someone who's at least trying, you know?
Yeah, their English is I mean, you hear English spoken less eloquently on the backstretch of any racetrack.
Exactly. I was gonna say like
In terms
most
of verb tenses, yeah, he win for fun.
exactly. Like we all speak
Come
perfect
on,
English
Lily
all the
Myers,
time.
you're from Chicago. You won for fun. That's what it should be. If you're a little bit of a stickler for that sort of detail, but no, I'm always in admiration of these guys that end up speaking another language just because this is something that they're doing on a worldwide stage. Bad Bunny, I didn't get the impression though that he was that adept at speaking English. Louis, why is that? You say he's fluent in English, or is that like one of those Roberto Duran things where?
No, I've seen interviews with him. He speaks English.
All right,
It's not. I don't know if it's perfect. He's more comfortable in Spanish, and he's proud of his speaking Spanish. But he can communicate English well. He's just trying to stay away from here right now because of the kinds of things that could happen at one of his concerts. He's trying to protect his fans. That's what's interesting about the Super Bowl is they're worrying about ICE, but I'm like that's not the kind of place where the people you're going to be deported. like it's a Super Bowl. Like I couldn't go to a Super Bowl.
guy's paying 20 grand for a ticket.
Yeah, you're not deporting those people.
Passport his way in. That'll be interesting. Trumpster's not going to go though, so that's good. I doubt that he would have wanted to show up at the Grammys last night because didn't seem like he was exactly the favorite son. That being said, that should make for a little bit of intrigue on the political scene. Bad Bunny will be the ambassador of politics going into the Super Bowl. Other than that, I think people will probably try to overlook it. All right, many other things happening over the weekend, and we'll get into it all as we did have those two finals in the Australian Open. I don't know how big. You would think tennis would have more of a following here, Louis. Why is it every time I
It
start talking
did.
about tennis, I feel like I'm losing everybody?
When I was growing up, it was a big deal. Like it's the last 20 or so years, the American men have just let this the fall. I mean, that's the only thing that's changed because we've had great talent, like you've said. Those three guys are possibly the three best ever. when you talk about Nadal, Federer, Djokovic, they all played together. Like
Yes,
this era,
and Murray is an afterthought as part of the Big Four.
he was good, and
Yeah.
then this era is fun. Alcaraz is center, young guys. Like there's talent there. It's none of them are American, so I guess we don't like.
You have guys that are trying to knock on the door. They just can't get to this level, which is amazing that Djokovic is able to compete with them, knocking off Sinner in the semifinals. Certainly nothing that should be overlooked. And then he's there. I mean, he wasn't quite. But when you see what Alcaraz does, even defensively as a tennis player, it's remarkable. He makes 3 or 4 plays on this one point that was crucial, where nobody's getting to any of these shots. Sends them all back in, and eventually forces a mistake by Djokovic. I think just because I don't know when you play Lubie, if you ever, I guess this happens in any sport where you're thinking, wow, there's 3 winning shots that I just hit, and I got nothing. I'm still having to hit an overhead to try and get the point. And when he banked it off the wall behind the baseline, and looked over in frustration and just thought, my God, how the hell do you beat this guy? It was pretty incredible. But yeah, and he got upset, Djokovic, during the tournament. Not upset, really, but he sort of snapped back at a reporter who said, how does it feel to be chasing these guys at this point in your career?
Yeah, I mean, there's just one
He shot back, hey, that's a little disrespectful. And it might have been because in reality, they're chasing him. You're
Yes,
watching an historic matchup here, a guy that's going for his 25th major and slam, 25th slam event. He's in the finals at 38 years old. And the guy he's going against is going for his 7th. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Alcaraz is undefeated in finals of Grand Slam events. He might be 7-0. I think he's been to 7 and won all 7
oh my
finals.
gosh,
You would have thought that he lost to Sinner in one, but it might
he's
have
a
been in the
sinner.
previous round.
Yeah, maybe.
So anyway, whatever. I mean, he's got 7 slams. So you're thinking, okay, here's a kid. He just became the youngest guy ever to win all 4 slam events by completing the cycle and winning the Australian Open, which he hadn't been to the finals in before. And the other guy is going to make history. I guess he's still technically tied with Margaret Smith Court at 24 slam events. Although Smith Courts is slightly tainted because she won like a dozen Australian Opens when a lot of players didn't go in to the Australian Open. So I don't know. I mean, is it kind of like looking at records from the past when there were no black players in Major League Baseball? And you're thinking maybe this guy wouldn't have been quite as good if he had stiffer competition. Who knows? But you can't take it away. The number is what it is. And while that's going on, you realize after Alcaraz prevails that he still needs 17 more slams to
Yeah.
tie Djokovic. So how good is this guy? I mean, they're chasing him, are they not?
Yes, yes.
And will be for some
Framing
time.
the question that way, like as you were saying, I'm like, yeah, that's a weird way to frame it. Like I get what he's saying, but usually when people go there, especially with a great to their face, it'll say, "How does it feel to pass the torch?" Or do you see yourself passing the torch? Are you the torch is thrown in there, and that usually softens the great person because they remember they took the torch. He took it from Nadal and Federer. So like the way that guy, the person framed it was to try and get a reaction because like no one, the greats don't ever think of themselves as chasing anyone. It's time
Yeah.
the only thing they're
Been
chasing.
around 20 something years. Who's he chasing?
Yeah, like he's set.
They'll be chasing his record. And regardless of the fact that you're looking at a guy who's just about 23 years old, Carlos Alcaraz.
That's crazy.
So
Yeah, he's already elite, like
if he plays another 10 years,
which is feasible.
he's still only 33.
Yeah,
He would be in 40 slams. Can he win
yeah.
17 of those?
Well, the problem is the competition. I mean, you have to tell me, but it feels like the competition's like we're seeing Sinner and Alcaraz in every single one. Like it wasn't always Federer and Nadal and Joker. Like I think there's 4 of them, so they could knock each other out. Like who are the other people that are really because the 2 Americans are interesting, and then you throw in Tiafoe.
Fritz and Shelton. Tiafoe's
Do they ever do anything? Like I feel like if they ever face these 2 dudes, they crap. Like,
Shelton gets smoked when he goes against.
so like, it's just going to be these 2 guys back and forth. I think you're going to see what you saw with those 3. Like all 3 of them, don't they all have over 20? Like I think that's sort of what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Like.
We'll see. Yeah, it could be. But anyway, it's still a long hill to climb. And for the reporter to say, hey, you're chasing these guys, I could see where Djokovic, by the way, has become extremely. I mean, look, he must have a massive ego to be able to be as good as he is at something. Obviously, he thinks a lot of himself. And maybe humility wasn't his strongest characteristic in the past. But it certainly has become one of his essentials at this point, or part of his essence, where he could not have been any more humble than he was in losing that final to Alcaraz. We saw the same kind of thing, the same kind of dignity. It's nice to see in sports once in a while. Instead of a guy beating his chest and telling you how great he is and how, geez, the only reason that this guy won is because he was lucky and the refs were against me.
Yeah.
Just to say, hey, you're great, and you know what, Rafa, this guy's a protege of yours, kind of a child prodigy, much like you were from Spanish players. And it was kind of cool to see Nadal in the first row there as all this was taking place. But a lot of humility. And our man Xander Zayas, story that was probably on, I don't know if it was in the Agate type somewhere, but he ended up picking up another championship belt as he won and he unified this title against a guy that I hadn't seen much of. Fairly dominant performance, even though they called it a split decision, in his home of Puerto Rico over the weekend. And you could not have displayed any more humility and or compassion for an opponent than Zayas did in the aftermath of that fight. You see this in boxing a lot. I guess you see it more often in tennis now. Who are the sourpusses when it comes to tennis? Sabalenka, she's not really the most gracious.
I don't know the people now.
Serena was the worst of all time.
Yeah, if you're going back in the day, I mean, it's weird because Martina, I feel like by the end it was fun, but I vaguely remember Martina sort of being like
she was a bit of a hothead, no?
rough and tumble, and like she didn't take crap, and and so I saw her when she was older, but I remember people talking about her like she sort of was at fight, call it whatever you want, but she wasn't the easiest person to deal with. From what I remember,
steamrolled her way into a sport that was, I mean, you were talking about paper doilies being on the on the table, and all of a sudden, she's putting a steel mallet there and just hammering her way through all of the competition and the niceties. I guess Steffi Graf, she was kind of
I'm gonna say Steffi Graf was the one
sort
that
of
was
withdrawn. I don't want to say that. That's not really the right way to frame it. But she just seemed cold hearted.
she was short. I just
Yeah,
remember being short. It wasn't like she would do the interviews because she was great.
cold
She
blooded. I guess it would be.
but yes, that's what she was.
That's a
She was
competitor,
very like short and to the point.
and
But
that's
that's
what she did. Man. Yeah, she just came to the net, and said, "Hey, listen, Chrissy, try this lob now.
yeah.
Go bleep yourself." Pretty good rivalry. Nice to see rivals become friends. That was one of the great things I always enjoyed about boxing. Two guys beat the living daylights out of each other, and then they embrace, and you can tell it's somewhat genuine after all the trash talking to sell the fight. Always good to see, especially if the thing was a competitive sort of bloodbath as you were anticipating going in, and to see it's Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti, right? Became the best of friends after three ridiculous fights. But anyway, congratulations. Local kid makes good. Xander Zayas
Nice.
winning a second belt and trying to unify. What is he fighting? 154, I believe, 154-pound titles. A lot of other stuff. We'll get into it. I don't know how you feel about this. That there was a big flap with the Florida-Alabama game, basketball, college hoops yesterday.
Oh, because this kid, the kid played right. Did this freaking?
Charles Badiako.
I mean, the whole thing's stupid. I don't know how they're allowing G leaguers are professionals. Like I don't know when did this.
Where's Jim Thorpe? He's probably rolling
Yeah,
over
when
in
did
his
this
grave.
change? Like I know things have changed. I know it's the Wild West. Miami just did one of the weirdest things. I didn't know that you could sign someone who's already under contract to go
Can you
work
play
somewhere
2
else.
years for the Knicks though and go back to school all
I
of a
don't
sudden?
know. Someone's trying it. There was a kid that played for the
Right.
Hornets this year. He played for the Hornets this
Yeah.
year in the NBA and wants to try and do. Now he
Name's
has not been
is
allowed.
it Bailey? I think
I think
Amari
he
Bailey.
has not been allowed,
Yeah.
but he's trying. He's trying. So it's like okay.
Unbelievable.
I don't get what we're doing. Like,
That guy Golden, is it Todd Golden, the coach of the Gators?
yes.
He's furious that this guy Bediako is going to play. He only goes for 6 points and
Is
7
it even
rebounds.
good? Like that's the funny thing is like you should let him play and then he sucks.
You know what's great about that game? The best part about that game is that guy Oliver Ryu got in, 7'9" guy.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Got in garbage time in the last minute. The Gators win it by 23. And you know what I'd be watching? Everybody was probably chanting, "We want Ryu." Is that how you say his name? Ryu?
I don't know. Maybe.
7'9" guy, tallest
Remember,
player.
he's a freshman, the big recruit. Yeah. I don't
How
know
big of
how
a
he
recruit? He was a
pronounced.
big recruit in the sense that he's big, but
Yeah, I don't know if he was great, but he was an interesting like signing. He was someone that people were
is he
interested.
some kind of Mel Count spaz, when it comes to being a 7-footer? I would imagine it's how weird is it to have your eyeballs almost at the height of the rim, Lubie? That's got to be a strange thing. He scored a basket. He scored the final basket in the game and this might have meant a lot to a lot of people. Did I have one of those things with the Gators where you get a free dozen bagels at Jason Cole's shop? They hit 100 points because they hit 100 points based on that bucket by Oliver Ryu, 7'9". Was that his first basket of the year? We'll have to check that out also. I can't imagine it was. They would have made note of that, but that was part of it. It seems weird though, Libby. How can it possibly be that this guy Bailey played for the Hornets? He was in NBA games. He averaged a couple of points. And now
Yes.
he's pressing the courts to challenge whether or not he has college eligibility left. And yet, how can they still define college as an amateur status deal? And how are they going to be able to block anybody that's been in the pros from coming back when essentially you just had a case over this Duke quarterback that came to Miami
Yes.
where he had signed a contract? It's not a scholarship. He signed like a
He had a
contract with
contract. He had an
$4 million
actual,
attached to it. And I
he,
would imagine a lot of conditions because of the fact there was so much money involved.
he had an actual contract, and it was literally done by Duke's attorneys, who you would think they have really good attorneys. They're one of the best law schools in the world, and they're a top, I think, 5 or 6 institutions. Like they're actually better than most.
They got a bunch of hacks doing the
Like
contract.
you're telling me they haven't worked out the contract. I don't know. Yeah, so it's just a weird world, and I don't know how to deal with any of it, and we're just, I guess, taking it day by day.
But if the college ranks essentially have been for a long time, but now being designated essentially, how do you qualify them as anything but a professional enterprise?
It is. Well, that's because
So
that's
how can you deny a guy college eligibility and you're dealing with pros that are getting paid contractually to play now, how can you then dispute that? Oh well, even though this guy's got time left to where he could be playing because he didn't play 4 years of college ball, how can you keep him out, Louis? And claim that he's been professional, so he can't return to amateur status when there is no amateur status and hasn't been for a long period of time. It only applied to, I would think, on a basketball team. It wasn't virtually by the time you got to a guy who was a senior and now even succeeding, being a senior. Um, you were talking about a guy that was, a straight up pro. So
Yes.
that's crazy, huh? I mean, finally,
It's totally insane. That's the one thing. Look, and this has been the Wild West. People remind me of that, and I get it. I know it's the Wild West, but there were always like these sort of lines that were not crossed, and that's if you go pro, you can't go backwards, and when you have a contract, you have a contract. Those are the two things I thought maybe, and I'm naive. I was proven wrong. I'm naive, but I thought we had sort of some lines. Again, it's like laws in America now. They're not really laws. If you don't uphold them, then they're not laws.
right.
So these rules that people were abiding by, I guess, were not rules. It's up to schools to just say screw it, and that's what we've seen.
And who's regulating this? That's the other thing. If the
That's
regulating bodies have no power or choose to
bingo.
go in this direction, this sort
Bingo.
of lawless, no condition prototype that's out there right now, then what are you going to do?
Nothing.
How
You
do
can't
you
do anything.
how do you legislate this or mediate it? And so Todd Golden was screaming, "Hey, I want this kid out of here. He shouldn't even be in the gym."
That's stupid.
And sure enough, he ended up playing in that ball game. Is every women's college game a blowout? I mentioned this. I think I sent you a text about that because every time I hate to say this too because I really want to embrace this, Loopy. I really, really do. It's not like I want to be one of these guys that's always condemning. And look, the women's tennis is as fascinating to me as the men's game is, and sometimes more entertaining, in my opinion. As great as the men players have been in the Australian Open and all the tournaments leading up to it, and last year and all previous years, the women's game in tennis is probably the most comparable, I think, on the pro level.
Oh yeah, yeah. Of
To the
sport.
any sport. And
Yeah.
it's great stuff. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. If that's probably 30 years ago when Connors and McEnroe and Sampras and company were playing. I don't know that they weren't playing at a better level than the current modern day women were, but man, it had to be close, no? Where I mean, these women are hitting the ball 80 plus miles an hour with forehand shots, just unbelievable power and ability, and the game is really great. But every time I tune in, even for the slightest portion of a women's game, I should do in-game betting because I could bet the next 6 shots are going to be bricks. That there will be no made shots. Is it just me, Lubie? I mean, do I have? I usually have very good fortune. Like the men flipping channels during the day, where there are multiple sporting events on. I almost always catch the key action in every game and miss the dull part. Of course, you're not going to hit on everything.
Yeah.
Every time I tune in a women's game, nobody makes a shot. Nobody. It's insane. And then you watch like a just complete wave of hapless turnovers, and it just looks bad. I don't know, Libby. Am I missing something? And then I look on the scores, and every game is a blowout. Gino's going to do it again, though. Apparently, right?
Oh, they're good again.
Oh my
I
God.
actually, because there's no like super duper star. I don't know any. I only know what's going on in women's college basketball when there's like a Beckers or like Clark.
Clark, yeah.
When there's not someone like that, I have no idea what's going on. Like, I don't.
So you're saying Angel Reese was really good for the game because at least you were paying attention.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, her game isn't good for the game, but she was like Rodman. It's not appetizing to watch, but yeah, her starting crap with Clark, you always want that back. I mean, they knew it. They would have kept her in college for 10 years if they could have. Like that brought even
He
I
might
watched.
come back to college under these new.
I probably should look. Ken Shamden, he's not wrong. None of us realized all these guys. Remember, like guys would like Parker would come over from France, and like he's been playing in the pro since he's 14, and we never batted an eye at that. So it is weird that they can come play in Serbia since they're 12, and you can't play the G League. I get that. Okay, then get rid. I don't know what you do, but it's just weird. Like that, be able to go play pro, grown men, and then now go play kids. Now, a lot of the time it's going to be guys that suck because the NIL is good enough in college that you don't need to leave until you're ready to leave. And then once you leave, you want to go. But still, it's weird and it's annoying. And I don't know. What is the answer? You said it. There's no governing body. So that for now, there's no answer.
Like, it would have been cool if like LSU could have gotten a couple of games from Shaq after he'd already been with the Magic. But he was still eligible for college. All right. We're going to come back with more. A lot of stuff to analyze here. And we'll softly get into, I'm not sure what it is. I mean, a lot of different prop bets are going to be out there in the Super Bowl. That's where the books expect to make most of their action, all off prop bets. What direction would you lean in? Like the goofy prop bets, like we were talking about, where Footy's got inside information about the first song that Katy Perry was going to sing. The professor was the only guy that was able to get money down on it.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
I go to the window, the guy looks at me like I'm from Mars, which isn't good enough.
Weird bet,
and two ice guys in the back.
Exactly. It's a weird bet, and it's also a bet that, like you talked about, is easy in our case.
A way to fix it. A very easy way to fix it.
Very easy to like.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you're part of Katy Perry's crew, are you forbidden from betting that? No. Or can you tell other people? Does that make you subject to like a Terry Rozier thing, or Tim Donaghy, where you're winking at the guys from the Gambino crime family as they sit in their courtside seats right next to James Dolan and say, "Watch this, 3 Knicks are going to foul out of this game within seconds." Very nice. Did he foul guys out right away, Donaghy? No, he wasn't obvious. It took him.
No, that was the thing. Is he picked his spots? It would be certain games where it would be just blatant. That was the problem.
2 foul calls on Jordan inside the first 3 minutes of a Chicago Bulls game.
Jordan never had foul calls, but it was like it's the Lakers Kings series where like Shaq can murder people and there's never a foul call, but Mike Bibby gets punched in the face and he gets called for a flagrant technical. You know, like stuff like that. That it was like even in the moment you're like, this game's being really officiated weird. And then later on, whenever it came out, everyone was always like, "Oh my god, I knew it!" It would always be like people always reacted like, I knew that game was freaking weird, you know, like Donaghy that was his thing. He didn't do it every game. He picked his spots.
Yeah, and it was subtle stuff too. It was stuff that wasn't necessarily going to be so blatant where a guy deliberately throws a pass out of bounds, 3 feet behind a guy's back and then comes down the floor the next time and kicks it up into the stands. And you're like, wait a minute, what's up with Brunson? All right, we're going to come back with more in a moment. A lot of prop bets I'm looking at are involved in the running game that were happen to be in my New York Post, which came late yesterday after I had to make a call. Does the cold inhibit people's just desire to go outside?
Oh, yeah.
Delivery has been spot on. I hate to see it get sketchy just because of a couple of sub 40-degree days. Can I shrug it off based on that, Lubie? What do you think?
I would say probably the cold.
2 days in a row now.
Especially because, again, as someone who's been up throughout the night, it is the 30s from like 3 to 7.
A little cool in the house there. I'm reluctant to turn the heat on because it smells like the building's burning.
It's just weird to turn the heat on and stuff. I mean, it just feels,
I'm not sure I even want to challenge whether or not it's functional.
Yeah, that's the problem is we don't use it for 10 years. So you turn it on and then it always has, like you said, that odor and then that doesn't that doesn't go away because you're not using it.
Car thermostat there onto 72 and let it blow a little hot air there just to get the thing warmed up a little bit. But within seconds, you're suffocating. You're thinking, my God, what the hell is this? It's almost too efficient, the car heater, because you never put it on. All right, coming back with more in a moment. Now that. The time. 8:47.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Joe Bees. The bees collect the pollen, bring it to Joe, he packages it, and he gets it to you. It's simple, 100% natural, and it's good for you.
There's only one place to get Joe Bees, and that's from me. Joe B.
If you want to look and feel good, call 877-300-5632.
Caring. Women consensus immediately. You don't really care. You didn't really want to do any of this.
We now return to the Defo Show.
It's very true. Women and gambling don't mix. One of the great opening lines of any piece of literature. That was
Let me call it literature.
the great Andy Byer, who we haven't seen or heard much from in a long time. Always makes me a little bit nervous about a guy's status when a guy was very, very prominent and a leader, clear-cut cult leader of the degenerate brethren. And you don't hear a lot from him. You don't hear about any scores. You don't see him doing anything, embracing DraftKings or FanDuel. An early proponent of exotic wagering being expanded exponentially, including some scores on pick sixes, still legendary, where he put his fist through the wall in a Gulfstream Park, the old Gulfstream Park. This press box is long gone, as are many of them. But and it could be, unfortunately, I keep reading more and more horror stories in the narrative about whether racing is going to be gone altogether here in South Florida. So how strange would that be, Lubie? You would have one track running, and it would be Tampa Bay Downs.
That would be weird.
Imagine Hialeah, Gulfstream, Calder Racecourse all those years. And the only one left standing would be Tampa Bay Downs at that point with this decoupling thing that's coming. And it seems like a very stated desire. I don't know if it's stated, but you can see the dollar signs are flashing about unloading, filling in that lake and putting condos and business offices there. I would imagine would be a bit more lucrative than running horses on a Wednesday afternoon, which they don't even do. So they're down to what are they doing? 3 days a week at Santa Anita, 4 days still at the stream? No, they race on Wednesday, so they got 5. But maybe not for long, as Jerry Glanville would say.
Next years, the next 1 to 3 years could be very interesting. Yeah, it sucks. It's really sad.
What do I do with myself?
I mean, that's the thing is because if they're not, then they're not going to do simulcasting, right? Because like, if you don't have your own race,
they may still have simulcasting.
Because you like the simulcast, as long as they still have simulcasting.
Simulcasting's okay, but what are they going to be simulcasting if these kind of tracks and facilities?
That's my thing.
I don't know, Lubie.
I think if they're not doing racing, why would they just have places for simulcasting? Like that's my curiosity.
It's not like I couldn't use a hiatus from betting. Will you be tempted to unload on a Super Bowl? I don't know. I'm looking at these prop bets. According to, do you see anything? This is mostly about the running game, Movie. The expectation, the anticipation is for Kenneth Walker to do well in his ball game. They have his over total of yardage at 74 and a hook. You have to lay almost 120 to win 100 on that, minus 118. If you want to go under that total, you only have to lay 10% juice. So the lean is, at least by the odds makers, they're trying to influence you to take the under on this. So it looks like the anticipation is by whatever formulas they use, whether it's artificial intelligence, whatever numbers they plug into these computers, often are amazing because they're usually right on it. 75 yards rushing. What does that tell you about the game? If
it's going to be slow. I mean, it's going to be a defensive battle. It's a young quarterback versus a guy who's a reclamation project who's coming into his own. But again, Darnold's worked a lot on the turnover thing. So it's not like you've seen the way the Patriots have won is with these quarterbacks shooting themselves on the foot. So if you're Darnold, the last thing you want to do is shoot yourself in the foot. So, and I agree with Brian. We don't agree often, but this should be a close game. These are two defenses that are playing really well. Every game the Patriots have played has been that kind of a game. I think this will be cleaner because the weather won't be a factor. That's so funny because I changed to San Francisco because we were looking for the weather last week and I forgot to change it back. So everyone had said it was going to be freezing this weekend. So I looked and I'm like, oh, it just says 50s, babe. And then last night, the first night when it was in the 30s, I'm like, oops, that's San Francisco. I'm like, oh my God, we're colder than San Francisco. So that's what we are. But that shows where they are. That's what's great about San Francisco is it's very temperate. very consistent. Like the weather won't be an issue there. I know you said it rains from time to time, but from what I know, that rain.
San Francisco weather can change in the span of seconds.
Yeah.
Go from being absolutely gorgeous Chamber of Commerce type weather to horrendous. That does happen there. I don't know what the anticipation is. Doesn't it seem like from recollection they had a pretty nice day there when we left the day before. They bailed out for Las Vegas. Got married.
But anyways, so I expect this to be a very tight game, and I think it'll be, the running backs will be key, and both teams have nice talent at running back. I mean, I think Henderson's fine. I know he got dinged up a little bit, but I think he's fine, and Stevenson's good for the Patriots, and then Kenneth Walker's one of the better running backs in football. So, right, it should be a really good game. It should be a tight game, and it should be, for people like me who don't mind defensive games, which we've seen a lot of these playoffs. Like, I think that's sort of what it will be.
All right. Are you familiar with rushing bands as a wager possibility? Rushing bands.
What is that?
I had to look this up. It's another new term, even though I've been a lifelong degenerate. Rushing yards bands. I'm not even sure if I understand it with the explanation, Lubie. Rushing yards bands refer to betting on specific categorized ranges of total rushing yards a player will achieve. Oh, okay. So it's sort of a breakdown here. If you think he's going to have like 0 to 24, you can bet that. So it's still an over-under on rushing totals, but you're betting a range that he's going to end up in. Wow. I mean, 50 ways to lose your money. Lubie, what if you're doing this? I mean, are there people that are really good at this? Because the action, supposedly, most of what's going to be the content of these billions of dollars that are being generated by bookmakers on this Super Bowl are coming from these type of bets, if you will. All right, so these are all with Kenneth Walker. If you think he's going to gain less than 20 yards, like 19 yards or less, you get 20 to 1. What if he see, now you're betting that the guy gets injured. Imagine that. You're thinking, okay, the only way I win this bet is if he breaks his ankle on the first play. And how weird is that when that happens? When you're the one guy in the crowd, guy goes down tragically. It looks like he's hurt. He's going to be carted off the field. The players are all in a circle, both teams kneeling in prayer. Finally gets up, and you're happy to see, indicates to the crowd that he's okay, gives him the thumbs up there while strapped to a gurney. And you're the one guy in the sports book that gets up and screams, yeah, because you know he's not. What sick psychos we become as a result of that. Can you just quietly sit there? You just hit 20 to 1 that the guy wouldn't go over 19 yards in the ballgame. He's hurt on the first play. Of course you're going to get up and start screaming. No?
Yes. I mean, especially if that doesn't affect the bet in any way, then yes, you're going to scream. And that's what's great about the sports book.
You're cheering for a guy getting carted off the field. Because
I don't know how it affects the bet, because sometimes things like that will be weird with a bet, but I mean, what are you going to do? The sports book's crazy. That's what's great about the sports book, is you just hear yelling in pockets throughout the whole thing. And you're like, what game was that? What game is that?
Yeah. But it's obscure stuff inside the game. Like the time that we had the world's worst bookmaker, the Scotsman, who, I mean, he just starts yelling. They crossed the 4-minute mark in the first quarter of what was an horrific ball game so far, 0-0. And he had made a wager that I had never previously heard of. This is years ago. I suppose you could bet on any aspect of any game, but he had made a wager that there would be no score in the first 4 minutes of the ballgame. And I couldn't believe it. There's like 3 minutes into the game, and he's screaming, "Run some clock! Run some effing clock!
Run clock!"
What are you, Tony Sperano? Get out of here! They just kicked off. Scotty, sit down. But, of course, he was concerned. I guess there was an early turnover, but one team, he'd be happy now. I mean, maybe that's a better bet to make with these guys just forsaking field goals early in ball games, right? We're not going for it now. We're only 3 minutes into the game. And those points. Will that be a factor in the Super Bowl? There you go, Libby. Will forsaking a field goal and failing to convert a fourth down somehow be the deciding factor in Super Bowl 60?
What's funny is I think it'll be the other way.
There's our theme for the week.
There's your theme of the week. What I think is interesting, it's going to go the opposite way, right? Because that's sort of been building last few years to where it's become like a story this, not only season, but these playoffs where you thought, okay, the playoffs are here, they're going to change. No, the playoffs were here and teams were just going for it. I wonder if, though, the Super Bowl's here, they now do a 180. Now they're like, oh, crap, we're here. Do they get, again,
Super
Mike
conservative? Wow.
McDonald's never done it. Vrabel's never, neither of the coaches have ever coached in a Super Bowl. They've been coordinators, I think, or position coaches in Super Bowls. I don't think either's coached in a Super Bowl. Well, they then get tight and realize, oh, crap.
I'm going to say neither is coached in a Super Bowl.
No,
was Vrabel on the Patriots staff at some time before he got
that's the whole thing. When they always talked about like he was in Belichick's coaching tree. He wasn't. Yeah. He never coached with Belichick that I know.
I mean, I can see Belichick elevating him to some kind of coach.
He might have been an intern. He might have been a GA. I don't know what they call that in the pros. Like he might have, from what I know, he wasn't the linebackers coach. He wasn't the DC.
I was just going to work for a year, basically.
I don't know how he got the Titans job, actually, now that I think about it. I don't know what he did before or made him the Titans head coach, but he had been on staffs before. I looked up.
He was a defensive coordinator of some significance.
At some point, yeah. But I don't think he ever coached with the Patriots in that kind of capacity. I'm curious if they do a 180 from what we've seen all year and just go, okay, we need to take points wherever they are, however they may come, and not mess around. I wonder if the story that we've dealt with all playoffs all season becomes moot because these guys are just like, screw it. We're going to take whatever we have right in front of us.
And he reminds me, and he's 100% correct on this, that we missed the biggest story of the weekend here in terms of things that we touched on. And we tried to cover a little bit of ground here. We didn't want to just be.
Oh, is that a real thing? Did that really happen?
Really happened, yeah. I seen a video from of all people. She probably will get mad at me for saying this, but the video of it was sent to me by the one and only Leslie Visser.
Visser Mama sent you a video of that?
Yes. that we're talking about. And I think pretty soon, based on recent conversations with the head man at Bleacher Brothers, we would be able to play this clip for you, but without worrying about any kind of licensing and or any kind of cease and desist. Yeah, so in one of the preliminary fights, a guy gets smacked in the head, and his hairpiece comes off. So it literally was a bad day for a hairpiece, but this wasn't some wild streaming wind that you had funneling down the streets. This was an actual hairpiece comes flying off the guy's head. I'll send it to you.
That's amazing. That's amazing. It's like the dream.
Is that a technical knockout?
That's who you were waiting for from Bill Self for years and years. He would get pissed and just throw the hair. See, we knew it.
It was a rug all along, you assholes. Exactly.
That would be great.
What kind of crap are we into, Lubie?
I don't know, but that's amazing.
People are like, well, you know what? If the defense holds them to the usual 62.5 yards rushing.
No, whatever.
How much minutia are you willing to tolerate in discussing this year's Super Bowl? The 2 weeks is just too long to wait for a game.
Oh, then that guy won? Wait, so the guy got punched, his hair came off, and he ended up still keeping composure enough to win?
Imagine it was probably like Liston Clay in 1964, Miami Beach Convention Center, where the hairpiece flies off and he gets some of the glue in his eye.
Yeah.
And then, he's telling Angelo in the corner, Muhammad Ali, at that time, Cassius Clay, until right after the fight. And he says, hey, Angelo, I can't see, man. I can't go back out there. And you're thinking, what happened to this guy? He get thumbed in the eye? No, he got hit in the head with a hairpiece. Is there a point deduction for that? That's not considered some kind of hindrance? The old Hindu. All right, that'll do it for us. I mean, that's a great way to end up. Thank you, Andy.
Well, before we go, I know she's not watching because she's in the other room passed out. But happy birthday to the woman I adore, the woman I love.
Oh, yeah. Oh, nice.
The woman who in the last year, it's crazy because this time last year, she was not pregnant. This time last year, we were in Spain. She was not pregnant yet. She didn't get pregnant for like another month.
Is that where you ignited the spark?
No, it actually didn't happen then. It happened on the way when we got back. And we now have a year later, already have he'll be 4 months this week.
It's unreal.
I love you. You are amazing. And happy birthday, my love. I hope it's an amazing day. And I hope
what are you doing? Anything special? You work on any kind of freebie dinner or somewhere?
We did that this weekend. It wasn't free, but we went to Union Kitchen and Bar Friday. It was amazing. And
you love that place. Yeah.
It was fantastic. And they obviously took really good care of us. We did pay, but they took good care of us. She is doing what every woman's dream, running away from me and her son, and won't be gone with her best friend, our godmother, all day. So,
well deserved, man. You only have one birthday a year, and
this year's been this year's been a lot, so she's earned it. So go, have fun. I love you. Happy birthday.
All right. Well, Panich did. He went down for the count, which is good. Yeah. So
he was fighting
early in the show, people. The more likely it is that he's going to take a standing 8 count later on, which is fine. Was there a standing 8 administered in this instance? Guy's hairpiece comes off. Is it a mandatory 8 count?
I don't know.
What's the rule on that? I never used to have to go over that when we gave the same basic rules, which were that none of the rules that existed previously in the history of the sport will be enforced in this fight.
Yeah.
When you read that, and there's no standing 8 count and no 3 knockdown rules. So why are we talking about this? Because they're never there. That was always one of my favorite things. I used to love that. And I felt like Don Dunphy running down. Well, here are the rules of the New York State Athletic Commission, and they're no different than they are anywhere else in the world. It's like, okay, great. The fighters, will not be saved by the bell. They've changed everything to the point where none of those rules apply, and yet they always give the rules as if it's significant. All right, we're going to get out of here by rule. We're usually ending the show. From Mike Lubie Lubitz, young Luca Panici Lubitz did a great job today because he was fussy when we were talking about what? Some kind of fix?
Maybe he's just judging.
I was at every show reverts back to a discussion and a mention of Tim Donaghy. And again, series of bricks. I texted Andy this also. Unbelievable. Every women's game. Boom, 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 boom. I don't care what you're watching. I guess UConn must be making some baskets, Lubie. They beat everybody by 50.
I guess.
Are there any close games in women's basketball? Ever?
That's a good question.
Always blowouts. Unbelievable. And the Winter Olympics are coming up. How about that, Lubie? Is that
Friday? I think it's the
Friday. Are the opening ceremonies?
I think, yeah.
Oh my God!
I don't know. I mean, good. We'll need it because football ends, so it'd be great.
Is he an American skater? The guy that does a quadruple axel, like it's nothing.
Someone does a quadruple. Jesus.
No, I mean he's. And I saw a little clip, I guess, on one of the Sunday morning news shows.
Yeah,
which I am less inclined to watch as time goes by now, even though I used to love them. And I like these kind of news anthology shows. And you do see things like this, right? I would have been paying no attention to who the leading men's skater is. You don't hear a lot about it. That's off the radar. Since Dick Button was out, who the hell pays any attention to this?
It's one reason to Dick Button. Chrissy Yamaguchi is the last one I remember mattering outside of Olympics. And that's 20 years ago. In and of itself. I don't know. You used to at least hear gearing up to the Olympics. I these days don't. I hope these Olympics are fun. There's no football anymore. And basketball is sort of slow at this point. Like until the end of the season, basketball is sort of weird these days.
A lot of cross-country skiing, isn't it? A lot of cross-country.
I like the skiing. I used to love the skiing.
I kind of dig it, but yeah, no, I like the skiing. And I'm wondering this. I mean, this would be the question to ask. Who was the first guy to try ski jumping?
Oh, geez. No, that stuff's crazy. I always thought that was
nuts. I mean, but if it was unprecedented, you were the first guy, like the first guy to dive the Acapulco cliffs. What happened to that guy? Because you would imagine that whatever it is had not been refined to the point where it was even remotely safe. And I'm thinking, how do these guys not break both of their legs and ankles when they're landing, Lubie? How is this possible? Are you kidding me? That's my favorite by far. I know it was part of the opening scene, the tragedy there at Wide World of Sports, right? When a guy goes off to ski jump before he takes off, and you're like, holy crap, who the hell would do that? But yeah, who was the first guy ever to do it?
I don't know.
Say, let me put like some kind of launching pad here, and then I'll fly through the air on skis and land 200 meters down on a very steep hill, and then just stop on a dime before I hit a brick wall. Jesus. Literally, Lubie, how are there not more injuries in that sport?
There probably is. We just don't follow it enough. I think Vaughn just got hurt again, I think.
Well, that's even more twisted, right? Where they're doing like this giant slalom downhill, right?
Slalom. I love this. I was going to say this.
Slalom, but the straight up downhill, I mean, we're like 400 miles an hour. Get out of here. I didn't even like driving the Pacific Coast Highway sometimes.
Exactly.
Beautiful and scenic as it is, because if you had a tendency
no
to steer
railing.
for 1 second, guess what?
There's no
Steep
railing.
curve. You missed the sign there. You're now implanted in it, impaled to it,
Exactly.
as you're hovering over a bunch of sea lions that are going, and you're on the Pacific Coast Highway. No, I don't know how they navigate these downhills, man. It's incredible. All right, so we'll look forward to that. That's also something. I'm sure we'll have a lot of in-depth analysis on many of the Winter Olympic events. The hockey thing is always big, right? It
Yep.
attracts a lot of attention, although I'm more interested in the sports that you never get a chance to see that we kind of grew up on Wide World of Sports. Thank you,
Yes.
Norwich, for that. All right, we're going to get out of here. Thanks so much for being with us. Oh, it's schlubbering here. From Mike Lubie Lube, I'm Jeff DeForest. We'll see you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 9:09. Sorry about that, Lubie.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.